Oh my god, such a busy day today. I gotta finish this and then go to Archcast. I don't know how I'm going to manage to do Dungeons and Dragons on Wednesday as well. It's going to be difficult. But I'm going to play a Vtuber in Dungeons and Dragons. I think Sargon is already in this bay. I was like, look. Like, hear me out. Hear me out, okay? Big titty lady, 18 charisma. You got illusion magic. You can project an illusion of yourself onto the wall, and then you can do bouncy stuff. You do bouncy stuff, family-friendly content. Get to the biggest tavern. No drinks, family-friendly. Of course, just music and song. And then you get money from donations. I already talked to Sargon about this. It's going to be interesting. You play... No, seriously, like, think about it. You can literally make a VTuber in Dungeons and Dragons. You can be an Ushkushi elvish lady with big booba and 18 charisma. And then you go to a tavern. You schedule an event. You ask people to join. You entertain them with song and dance. You cast illusion magic on the wall. You make yourself look like an orca or something like that. And then people give you money. Curious what Sargon is going to say. It's not trans if it's a role-playing game. See, this is something that I don't understand. Like, I would like to have Thick Seedbreed explain this to me. Because a lot of people have the same misconception. Like, you play a fantasy game. And you play a wizard. Like, no one thinks, oh, so you believe you can cast magic in real life. No, it's like, okay, you play a wizard, that's fine. You play a black character, that's all, well, it depends. I guess, like, if it's a person from the academia, the prestigious American universities, then they may think otherwise, but we're talking about normal people, right? Who aren't this to the death. Like most people don't care, oh, you're playing an Asian guy character in a Dungeons, right? Okay, whatever. If you're playing an orc, no one is saying, oh, so you think you're an orc. No, it's like a... But the fucking moment you play a different gender, the fucking moment, chap, the moment you play the Ashikashi, buxom lady, everyone, why are you doing this? Oh, you must be gay. No, it's just like, it's make-believe. The same way that I can cast spells, the same way that I can be an elf, I can also be a woman. The fuck? Jesus. I don't understand, like, the people who roleplay as themselves. Like, this is the most cringe shit imaginable. Hey, welcome to Dungeons and Dragons. You can be anything. Male human knight. Let's go. Why, though? Why? Just, what's the purpose, then? Like, roleplay as something you aren't. Male human knight, lawful good. It's cringe. It's cringe. Just, like, yeah, like play something else. I mean, think about it. You know, I write for a video game. I write female characters. Like you should be able to position yourself in the perspective and the mind of someone else. American Outlier is here. Left eating their own. Oh, this is a all-time tradition on the left, right? So I wanted to discuss. You know, now that American Outlier is here, I wanted to discuss something important. I posted the video on my main channel. And it's a very interesting topic, right? Like, they're talking about no student left ahead, right? This is the title of the video. And I pointed out how in the US of A, there is some very concerning stuff going on. We're going to see it after this thing that I can't skip. And, oh my fucking god, another one. Holy shit. How many? Jesus Christ. Okay. Now, no student was proficient in math. This is in the United States. This is, normally, like, if it happened in my country, holy shit, there would be concern. I remember, like, we got this exam after you finish high school, in order to prove that you actually studied. And to go to university, you gotta take this exam. It's called the baccalaureate, the BAC. I don't know. I think Americans have their own equivalent, stat or some other thing. It's a general knowledge test. It was to see if you understood anything from high school, right? And it's graded from 1 to 10. And I remember, like, one year, the average was, like, somewhere around 8. And it was, like, grave concern. grave concern. The academic rigor is dropping, and how is this possible? And blah, 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 blah. But then you look at the United States, like not one student was proficient in math. Like you would think this would have been of some great concern, but no, like it's normal. Do they know they're LGBTs? Do they know the drag kid story? Oh, well, if they know that, I mean, they're already model citizens. But math? Unironically, you know, like you used to send your kids to school to learn the ABCs. Like that was the number one thing. Now is the LGBTs. How much money is donated to that versus how much money is donated to math? Well, the answer, how much money is donated to math, needs to be answered by taking into consideration the fact that now a lot of that cash is going to remove the racismus from mathematics. Racismus in mathematics. Okay, so, you guys didn't see my facial expression. The racismus. The racismus from mathematics. Okay, so, the fuck is racismus in mathematics? Well, what is racismus in mathematics is actually the way you can teach people math. The best way, I would say, and it's not just teach people math, it's like literally teach people anything. Like if I were to start right now a group of teaching you guys how to play Street Fighter, I would have to use racismus. Because this is what they used in my country. So, not what you think that racism is. No, not racism. Racismus. It's basically the concept of meritocracy, but in this situation, it's not even that. Imagine you have like... Okay, let's say that I'm going to teach you all how to play Street Fighter. Actually, you know what? No, because like a lot of people probably don't play fighting games. I'm teaching you how to play League of Legends. And how do I do that? Like, let's say 10 of you are paying me $50 each in order to get some coaching. So how do I teach you guys how to play League of Legends? I would separate you into groups. Unironically, this is how I do. I would be like, okay, so the people who never played the game, you're group A. The people who have played the game, you're group B. Okay? And then I go to group A, and then, okay, so you guys never played. Alright, well, here's how it's played. Alright, like, play the tutorial first, then talk to me. Alright, you played the tutorial. Alright, well, the idea is to do last hitting, right? Like, we're last hitting, enemy champions, do not go into the range of the tower, always stay behind your minions. You know, like, you teach the basic shit. Okay, now you made gold, great. You know, like, once you make gold, then you go and you purchase items. That's how I would talk with Group A. Now, Group B has been playing. Group B knows how to play, and I'm like, alright, let's talk about jungling, okay? Best route for jungling. Now, imagine that you wouldn't do this. Imagine that I would start from the ground zero. If you start from the ground zero by explaining people all that shit, you're wasting the time of the people from Group B. They're not benefiting from that. Like, they know what last hitting is. They know how to do with the gold. It's information that they already have. Meanwhile, the opposite, like if I take someone who never played the game and I start talking about jungle pathing, I completely lose them. They're not going to understand what the fuck I'm trying to accomplish or what I'm talking about. You know, like it's like someone never played the fighting game and I'm already talking about frame traps and frame advantage and they don't even know what WSD is and how to hold block. It's kind of like when you, okay, if you're not a video game fan, I know exactly how to explain this. It's like driving a car. Okay? Like the first time that you get into a car and you have the driving instructor and he's like, okay, well, this is what you use to open the windshields. This is the pedal that accelerates. This is the clutch. This is the brake. This is how you turn on the air conditioning. This is how you open the window, right? It's kind of like that. Now, imagine that you already know how to drive, right? Like you're an accomplished driver, but like for some reason in many countries, if they take away your driving license for a period of time, you have to pass the exam again. So let's say like one day you were driving drunk or something like that. The cops take away your driving license. You gotta give the exam again. Imagine like, you know, you're an experienced driver. Like maybe you drove trucks. Maybe you done these things and now you're with an instructor and he's like, okay, so this is the clutch and that is the brake and this is how we open the window, and it's a complete waste of time, right? So the best way to teach people, because this is where I went on a tangent, the best way to teach students is to actually separate them literally on the things that they call racism, which is merit, how much they understand the subject matter, and I don't know like what other factors they have, but like basically it's like how good they are at math. That's how you need to separate them, right? But they consider that the moment you separate the student is racist. I mean, you can't hold an intelligent conversation with such a person. There's like nothing there. But they have power and influence. When Bush signed the No Child Left Behind, the reason I dropped out of high school, simply put, I was forced to sit in class with other people catching up. It's not good for you, but like the thing is, they right, because that's the thing that they say. It's not fair for the kids that are being left behind. And I'm thinking like, okay. So you don't care about the smart kids because honestly, like leftists don't. Like if your goal is equality, it's a lot easier for someone smart to become dumb, but it's almost impossible for someone dumb to become smart. It's like when you play Dungeons and Dragons. If you're dumb, you can't play an intelligent wizard. But if you're smart in real life, you can play a dumb barbarian. Like it's the other way it's possible. The first one isn't. But it's not only that, right? Like the kids that don't understand also don't benefit. Like, if you don't understand the basics of math, and the teacher starts doing, like, these complex problems. Happy birthday, Term in fighting games, lol. Am I good at basketball? I'm not, right? So, like, if I was to get basketball coaching, I would rather be put in a group with other people of my level that are just learning to play. Like, no, seriously, imagine you're going to learn basketball and you're being placed in Michael Jordan's team. And you're training with Michael Jordan. And it's like, dude, I barely got in here. I've no fucking idea even how to hold the ball. Like, it's not going to benefit you at all. And at the same time, if the coach starts focusing on me, Michael Jordan doesn't benefit. Because he's like, well, I know how to do these things. So the main problem isn't even that. Like, I will tell you the main problem, because I can easily assess what's going on and why, according to this, no child in Baltimore was proficient at math. I can, like, immediately tell you, just by looking at the news, by looking on social media. I think I mentioned in the video, like, 2 weeks ago. A teacher was hospitalized by a student because she confiscated his Nintendo Switch. And there's so many other things like that. Like you get to see on social media event after event where the students beat each other up, where they assault the teacher. So when I see that, I immediately know what the problem is. And the problem is the lack of discipline. Now, when you bring this up, there are people on the right on Twitter who, you know, they love bringing race into it. They will say, well, so you're racist. You think that... I don't even care, like what situation they have at home. All right? Like some people say, oh, well, they're from single mother families. Who gives a fuck? Again, during World War II, you had hardcore criminals. Like people that were the worst society has to offer, and they were taken and indoctrinated in the military, and they were made into fine soldiers. I'm not saying that, right? Like the idea that you can take someone undisciplined and disciplinize them has been done through history. Like, it's not something that we don't know how to accomplish. It's not something that we don't know how it can be done. It can be done. It has been done. It works, right? Now, again, we're not talking about criminals here. We're talking about children. So you don't even need to apply the same standard. Like, you don't even need to go that deep. It's not that difficult. Like, if you could do it with hardcore criminals, like, I'm sure you can do it with law-abiding children without even have to resort to the same methods. But, like, the principle is probably the same. So that's my solution. Now, the thing is, if you're looking at America, Like what they could, if we were to apply Eastern European discipline, like the things that are applied in my country, right now, if you apply it in America, they view it as child abuse. They view it as though your kid needs to be taken away. That is the problem with the American education. It's the culture. Literally the culture. Like I'm just saying, like the idea that the teacher cannot do anything to the student is baffling to me. Like, okay, so there have been extremes. Like you watch Dead Poets Society, right? The movie. And they have like this big paddle that has like holes in it, so that when it strikes the student, it even makes like a whoosh sound in order to add to the psychological trauma. And then you have like teachers that are overly zealous and they enjoy, applying punitive punishment to students. We're not talking about that, okay? Like not that extreme. However, let me give you an example that I given earlier. It was about a TikTok video where a black girl, she was age 9, right? So like a little kid. And she bit one of her, she attacked one of her classmates and then bit the teacher. Right, now if I were to do that, the teacher would smack me over the head, and when I would go home, my mom would smack me harder with the shoe. I would never bite someone again, right? But this is America. We're more civilized. Like, we can't do what I'm advocating for. That's horrible. I mean, like what type of people hit a child? No one should hit a child. Okay, so they call the cops on her. And now you have the police putting the handcuffs on a 9-year-old, putting them in a cop car, sending them to the station where they're probably going to get a criminal record. Their parents are going to get in trouble. And this is more civilized, right? Like, this is how civilized nations educate their children. The government educates you. I mean, I don't know, like, is this actually better? Because I'm not advocating for either one. I'm just asking questions. It's like, is it normal? Is this what's desirable? Like imagine this. She steals from the cookie jar, right? She steals from the cookie jar. The teacher goes like, well, I can't discipline her any other way, so better call the cops. That's theft. Congratulations. Now she's got a criminal record. There were actually other cases. I keep giving this one because it's so shocking with the 9-year-old being taken with handcuffs. But there have been cases where, like, the mother called the cops on her child. I mean, I've seen this in the UK, especially. And it's like, in one way, like, as an Eastern European, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, woman, what the fuck? Like, why are you calling the cops on your child? Child is misbehaving, so she's calling the cops. Okay, but then I think about it, hold on a little bit. If she was to give him the shoe, which is what my mom preferred, it was her weapon of choice. Sometimes she would even dual wield the shoe. Then it's a crime. You can't do it, right? So if you can't do it, what is the other solution? Well, the other solution is to call the cops. It's like, okay. I think like my country is going to that direction as well. Like calling the cops for literally everything. Is this Shuan Head's origin? No, like Shuan Head, I understand like where you're coming from. The thing is like, my mother, she would use the shoe, but she would never hit me with the shoe in the head. It was like a tushy thing. I'm not the only one that got shoot. A lot of people got shoot. The worst was the belt. The belt was worse than the shoe, I think. I think like the shoe was more like a psychological thing. Like, unironically, like the shoe wasn't that painful, the belt was. Long ass belt, It's like... Yeah, like when you think about it, it was like more emotional damage, right? Like it didn't leave any scars, but like you got the idea that if you do this again, there are consequences. Like in the mind of the child, in this case mine, it was if I do bad things, I get punished. Like there are repercussions. The thing is, like, my parents actually knew how to educate me, because a lot of parents do this bad type of education where you only get punishment, right? In reality, you shouldn't get punishment. You should get punishment and reward. So when you do something good, you get a reward. When you do something bad, you get punishment. Like, for example, oh, he skipped school. If he skips school, he gets punishment, so he doesn't skip it again. Oh, he got an A+. Oh, well, if he got an A+, then it's time to buy Billy an ice cream. Like, that's good parenting. Like most parents, and this is something that you should never do to your child, all right? Like, if you are going to be a future parent, listen to me. This is how you educate. I'm not an expert, but I think I have common sense. The worst thing you can do, let's say you have a grading system between 1, where 1 is the worst and 10 is the best, right? And your kid comes home and he gets a 7. You get a 7 on a math test. It's kind of like in the United States getting a B minus, right? He gets a B minus on the math test. And the parent is usually upset. It's like, how could you get a B minus? Why don't you study? Blah, 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 right? And the next math test, the kid comes home and he gets a 9. And then the parent like, oh, why couldn't you get a 10? Right? So the kid gets an A and you're like, oh, why can't you get an A plus? And then the next day he comes up and gets a 10 or an A plus. And the parent is like, well, you're not studying for me, you're studying for yourself. That is the worst type of parenting that you can implement. Like, that is the worst thing, right? Because, like, what you're doing is you're trying to get the kid to raise to your expectations. Right? Like, most kids want to make their parents happy. Most kids want to meet the expectations of the parent. So they're going to try. But like, if they're going to see that the moment they reached those expectations, the goalpost moves, or the parent doesn't care, or he's not happy, then the kid is going to just stop trying. Because he's going to be like, well, there's no point. I mean, like, even if I try to make my parent happy, it is something that, unfortunately, I have seen happen to too many parents. And by the way, like, another thing that's worse as a parent to do is comparing your kid with others. Usually, if you have a brother, they're going to compare you to him. Or if you don't have a brother and you're a single parent, they're going to compare you to other children. It's like, why can't you study like X? X is a good student, you know, like X is a good child. Or why can't you be more behaved like Y? Why? The problem with it is, like, first of all, every kid has its plus and minuses, you know, like every person has their advantages and flaws. And while, you know, like, that kid may be really good at school, maybe he's autistic and doesn't have a really good social life. Right? But if you want to piss off your parent, if they do this, you can be like, well, why can't you be more like his parent? You know, I got a friend and my parents, and his parents, blah, 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 and then they get upset. But yeah, no, it's something you shouldn't do, right? Like, do not make comparisons like that. No one likes it. Like, imagine comparing your girlfriend or your wife with an ex. Imagine how upset your mom gets if you compare it with another mother. It's like, poor form. Poor form. And these are things like, they can be easily avoidable, right? Because there are some things that are more difficult to accomplish, but like, some things are so easily avoidable, there's literally no reason in order to even have those problems. I tell my children I want to trade them for better kids all the time. See, like, on one hand, I can't, you know, like, all experts will say, oh, how can you say this? Oh, you should never say that. In reality, parents are human beings as well. They get upset and they want to offend their children. Every family does it. Let's not pretend that, right? Like, even talking about this, it's like, what do you mean? Yeah, like, if the kid breaks a vase out of spite, like he's like, you know, like, fuck you, dad, and he breaks the vase, then you may say something like, I saw in the chat, I wish I could trade you for another child. You know, it's like, it's not something nice that you say, and I'm pretty sure that the parent regrets it later. But sometimes, during a fit of being upset, you may say certain things, right? But I'm not talking about, like, when you're upset. I'm talking about, like, when you're calm. Like, you're calm, rational, and you have this conversation with the kid, and you're like, I wish I could trade you for another. Like, this actually hurts, you know? Because even most kids will understand that their parents say something when they're angry, and they say different things when they're calm. It is poor form, yes, it is. But the kid as well, like when the kid is upset, doesn't he sometimes go like, oh, fuck you, dad? It's normal, it's human beings. Like, let's start not disassociating humanity from whomever we're talking about. Like, parents are humans as well, children are humans as well. right? Like people when they get upset, they say shit that they don't mean. The child does it, the parent does it, right? Like, let's stop pretending that it's unilateral. Saying it when you're serious is mean, yeah. But I do also tell them to go play in traffic, and they wouldn't be very expensive slaves in the older days. Yeah, like, again, like it's a difference when you're joking, when you're mean, and then when you're serious. Like when you're serious, if you tell a kid, why can't you be like that other kid, or like I wish I could trade you for someone else, that is being a bad parent. American universities are kindergartners now. Yeah, it is. It's definitely like treating children like adults. What also I noticed, especially on Twitter, they treat fictional characters like real people, and they treat real people like fictional characters. Did you notice that? Like they are so concerned when they see a video game having a little bit of titty. Oh my god, that is horrible. But OnlyFans is fine. Twitch is fine. That's such a bizarre culture. I genuinely do not understand it. So anyway, let's look at Columbia faculty. The thing is, like, Columbia, from my understanding, is a very left-leaning one as well. Thank you, can I say his name? Cisco Sister. Cisco Sister. Oh my god, I managed to do it. Cisco Sister. Thank you for the donation. Columbia faculty is at war with anti-Semitism. Hundreds of professors signed new letter appalled by their colleagues who defend students for supporting Hamas. A lot of people ask me, it's like, well, why do you care about anti-Semitism? How it affects you? That is a good question. You know, like, how does it affect you? I have heard this question so many times. It's like a cliche. How does it affect you? And the thing is, I don't like being lectured by people who cannot abide by their standards, right? Like, these are the same group of people that were abhorred that PewDiePie is anti-Semitic for making a joke. So for a skit, he did a South Park skit, and all of a sudden they're like bringing the apocalypse on YouTube because, oh my god, PewDiePie evil. Thank you, Omega, for being a member for 15 months, by the way. As opposed to a different university, which is slightly less far left. I'm actually curious if there are right-wing universities. I even heard about Catholic universities having like diversity, equity, and inclusion quotas. Catholic universities. I wonder, like, how though? Like how did they manage to corrupt every single fucking god? Like, it's called the Long March of Academia, but like, my fucking god. You'd expect that at least some universities would be right-wing, wouldn't you? The only way you can actually get to a right-wing university is to come and study in Eastern Europe. Unironically, like, it's the only way you can have like a good education, and it's also cheap. This dude on YouTube told this story. His parents kept telling him to get good grades in high school so he can get into a college. The promise was... Why did you stop, Jacob? Why did you stop? Now I'm curious. You just hyped me, Jacob. You hyped me for nothing. I'm pro-Israel, but let people say what they want on campus. See, like, I hear that argument as well. It's like, let people say what they want. And I'm like, yeah, they should. They should say what they want. But are these the standards we operate by? Is this the world that we live in? Can I say what I want? Am I allowed to say the stuff that I want? No. And where is the censorship coming from? The campuses. I mean, look at what the campuses said about Kanye West. And now they're even worse than whatever Kanye West would say. I mean, I have seen things that would have made Kanye West blush. Like he wouldn't be able to say them. And that's the reason, right? Like, I find it interesting how it is that whenever you have the censors themselves say something that they would cancel, all of a sudden it's like, yeah, but like they have free speech. They have free speech. Yeah, but like, why don't I? Why can't I have free speech? So I should only let some speak. And it's like that quote from Dune, which I said on my main video. When I'm weaker than you, I cite your principles so that it protects me. When I'm stronger than you, I take away your rights because those are my principles. So Jacob says the promise was that they would buy him a sports car. However, after he did all that, he realized his parents don't have the money to buy him a sports car. I think he stopped talking with them for 10 years. Kind of sad. Yeah, that's another thing. No, I understand. Never lie to your kids like that. You know, like, obviously you're going to lie to your kids because we lie to everyone. Usually white lies. Your mother buys a new dress. How do I look? Oh, you look lovely. You know, like there are times where you lie to people. Santa Claus. Santa Claus is a lie, right? You lie to your children about Santa. But the problem is, like, when you do these lies that are incredibly obvious. And not only that, but like the worst thing to do to a kid is to say you're going to do something that hypes him up. Like, I'm going to buy you a computer. I'm going to buy you an Xbox. And then you don't. Like, that is cruel. So I do understand why that particular friend of yours refused to talk with his parents for 10 years. I would probably do as well. Like, unironically, that is the best solution. Like if that's how they treat you, then you should treat them as well. Did you guys get? Yeah, I did it. I can't remove that, unfortunately. I have to click a button every single time it pops up. But because I wasn't into the live stream, what is it called? The control panel for the live stream, I wasn't able to stop it in time. Yeah, a bad is only good as his word. Like, I don't believe in this shit like I'm lying for your own good. It's like, yeah, you get good grades and I'll buy you a sports car, and then you don't. Like, why can't you say I'll buy you a computer or I'll, you know, like, do something that you can do rather than just, like, tell them that you're going to get them something that you can't afford. Or something that's not even in your power to get. Like it's cruel. This is the only way I can... So anyway, let's see what this lovely university from Columbia did. Almost 300 staff at Columbia University signed a letter condemning their colleagues, defending students who said that the Hamas terror attack on October 7 was, oh my fucking god, was justified. So they're not even supporting Palestine. They're basically like supporting flat out terrorism. The stress that freedom of speech is vital, but that did not extend to justifying act of terrorism. No, that's literally not how it works. Like if you believe in free speech, nothing that they did is wrong. However, if you were to have like some other students coming in the next day, and they're taking the exact opposite approach. Like Destiny. Destiny is in trouble right now for saying that Israel should wipe off Gaza. Right? Like, he actually said that on Kick, I believe. And due to that, he is in trouble. But I guarantee to you, like, if someone did that on a university, there wouldn't be like, oh, well, free speech and he's allowed to say... No, they would be immediately expelled from the university. So, like, that's the problem, right? Like, it's not a free speech. This is like so fucking bizarre. Like imagine if you're in China or Soviet Union, and the government says something that's abhorrent. Like the government says, we need to we need to remove the kulak problem, right? So if the government says that, you can say, well, it's free speech, right? But when the kulaks complain, they get suppressed. It's kind of like that. Like that is not a free speech society. Don't give me the shit. It's like, oh well, I have free speech rules and. Remember Hooked on Phonics? Jesus, thank you for the $100. Holy shit. Remember Hooked on Phonics? My grandma made me sit and listen to cassettes and write number 5 pencil and read those books. But one time I cheated on a test and got caught. My grandma was so upset that all she did is she sat in a chair and cried. And when I saw that, it hurt more than a whipping. Yeah, like there are certain people out there that know how to impose their respect to the point where physical punishment isn't necessary. Like, I had a friend which told me that his mother would be the one that spanked him, right? So, like, whenever he did something bad, his mom would spank him. And his dad only spanked him twice, but, like, he remembered those spankings for the entire life. And it wasn't like an actual spanking. It was more like just like a slap on the tushy, just one. It was like more the fact that it happened rather than the fact that it hurt, because it didn't. And he said it's like, and this is due to the fact that he had a lot of respect for his dad, right? So like when his dad did that, it actually hurt more than getting a spanking. It's a lot of money, American Outlier. Thank you. And that was also a nice story. My grandmother too was trying to help me study. Yeah, the thing with cheating at a test, I will say this, especially when you're in school. Like, this is my advice to you. Your purpose is to get the best grade you can, right? And sometimes cheating is a valid option. I'm not going to bullshit. It's like, no, you need to study. No, you need to study and cheat. Both of them need to go hand in hand. There are no rules. No. You need to get good grades, A+. So what you do is you study for a B+, and then you cheat until you get the A+. And I'll tell you why. Because the competition does it as well. Like, other students cheat. Now, you may ask, well, why is it that I shouldn't always cheat and never study? It's because you're going to eventually reach that professor, or you're eventually going to get in the situation where cheating doesn't work. There are professors that are too vigilant, are too wise. It's impossible to cheat with them. But again, like the whole idea is that you shouldn't just study and you shouldn't just cheat. You need to know how to do both. And it's an art form. It's an art form to cheating without getting caught. See, the problem is, like, I went to an evangelical school and they were treating cheating like murder. Like, if you cheat, it's like a sin to Jesus Christ. Like, when I'm going to go to the afterlife and I'm going to have to justify if I can get to heaven, I would have to tell Jesus. And Jesus will be like, why did you cheat? When did I? A math test. You go to hell. Right? So, that's how they taught me. And I literally couldn't cheat. And I regretted it in university so fucking much, chat. I regretted it so fucking much. Like, when I say I couldn't cheat, it's like I literally would turn pale. Like I physically wasn't able to do it, right? And the thing is, like, I would study, and I would usually get an 8 or a 9. And other people who were just as good as me, because I would talk to them in the classroom, and they would also study for an 8 or a 9. They would cheat and get a 10. And they got scholarships, and they managed to get a better grade than me, and it pissed me off so fucking much. And it's like, no, actually, see, if I was able to cheat, I too could have gotten the A+. I used Cliff Notes in also my literature classes, but other than that, I didn't cheat on anything. At university, I rarely cheat because being caught cheating once is immediate expulsion. Yeah, but it depends how you cheat. So if you're like cheating from your phone, if you're cheating from like, yeah, sure. But if you're cheating by looking at your colleague's paper, and it does matter, like, the type of university you go to. Like, it's true, like, some of them would punish cheating severely. But again, like, if you're at a university where other students cheat, like, let me tell you the best way of cheating. I cheated like this during biochemistry in med school. If my teacher is watching, why is it my fault, huh? Why is it my fault? It's not my fault. I didn't do nothing. You just didn't know how to make sure that people don't cheat. It was your responsibility. I will tell you how I did it. Alright. Look here, you bigot. This is... I'm going to tell you how I did it. Do I have any... I don't think I have any people under the age of 18, right? I don't want to set a bad example for people that... If you have kids in the room, now's the time to tell them to fuck off. Because otherwise, like, this cheating method was never caught. Foolproof. So, biochemistry. Yeah, the amino acids. That's where I cheated. So what are amino acids? The building blocks of life, chat. They're very important. You gotta remember these things by heart. Hold on. You gotta memorize this. I think there's like 23 of them. And you, like, literally, you gotta memorize this thing. Suffice to say, I didn't like it. Like, the test is, right? Like, write Serene. And you gotta do this on your paper. You gotta... I was like, fuck this shit. This is like memorizing the phone book. Go fuck yourself. I'm not... How is this like even important for a doctor? Like, if I want to know what tryptophan looks like, I'll just open the fucking internet and I'll look at it. Why do I need to memorize? Fuck off. This is a Coca-Cola bottle. This is the label. You detach the Coca-Cola bottle label. You scan it. You print it. And then on the inside of it, you put this shit. So the advantage is, right, like you were allowed to have one bottle during the exam. It's your Coca-Cola bottle. You're thirsty. So when the teacher examines it, it can't see anything because the bottle is full. What you do is, like, when you drink from the bottle, you can actually see, you see through it. You can play with the bottle. Don't make it too obvious, though. Knowledge. See, who would you hire? Who would you hire? Unironically. Now let me put it this way. If you're a person that's hiring a doctor, is someone who can memorize this a person that's intelligent? Does this qualify intelligence? Just by being able to memorize and parrot it? Maybe, you know, but is someone that comes up with this shit intelligent? Like, ironically, which one do you think is better? The one that came up with this solution? Or the one that can memorize this? And by the way, I can memorize this as well. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, give me... I think, like, in 1 week, I can memorize them. And I'll probably remember them for, like, probably a month or so. Because I did memorize them at some point. It was just, like... most of them I actually knew. But there were a couple that I was struggling with. And, again, like, the main thing is, like, if you made a mistake. Right? So, like, if you forgot... Like, if you think here it's something else, it's NH2 or some shit. And right? It's kind of like that. They do have some logic because, like, the molecular connections, like, for example, oxygen, right? It's got two... I don't know how you call it in English. We call it valency 2. But basically, like, it's got the possibility of establishing two connections, right? So every single time you have an oxygen, as you can see, is 2. Here you also have, like, hydrogen, it's connected to 1, and the oxygen, it has this other connection. I couldn't be arsed, honestly. Like, it's doable, but this was much more simple. I could play more World of Warcraft. I had time for more video games. I have a life. This is for people who don't have a life. And I guarantee to you, like most of the people that got this right, like, this is actually also interesting. Most of the people that got high grades at this memory phone book shit didn't end up being the best doctors. I'm not comparing it with myself. I'm comparing it with other students. Because, like, there were other students that were, like, really good, that are good doctors right now. And they had really poor grades at biochemistry. I don't even know why a doctor needs to know biochemistry, but there you go. You never get to... Holy shit, American Outlier. Did you rob a bank? Holy crap. I understand why your grandma cried. Imagine trying to make sure your grandchild don't end up like her daughter, my mom. My grandma always talked to me. I won't make the same mistake twice. She was referring to my mom. I realized grandma was talking about her right after she died. Man, that's really harsh. But at the same time, just cheating at a test doesn't necessarily mean that... I mean, I guess... Oh, shit, I deleted the message. Jacob, my bad, I misclicked. Please write it again. Holy crap. I don't know why I'm pressing left key and accidentally it went with right. Jacob, just type it down and I'll read it. My bad. I'm glad I didn't put him in a timeout. Jesus. Why can't I, like, re-show the message? I'll put him as a moderator. I feel bad now. But yeah, it's kind of like, various things that the kid can do, which end up being bad. Cheating on a test, I guess, like, you don't want to encourage that in the early grades, right? So, like, no cheating up until 6th grade. After 6th grade, go wild. So in the university, a colleague went to Turkey for a week in order to have fun. She came back for an exam and cheated. She got a bigger grade than mine, and I stood and studied. Yeah, like, it's really annoying, because a lot of people will say, oh, yes, but, like, you're studying for yourself. You study for yourself, you don't really study, like, the grade doesn't matter. Bullshit, it doesn't matter. It fucking matters. When it comes to scholarships, your grade matters. When it comes to getting a job, the grade that you got during university matters. Teachers treat you differently. Like, unironically, like, I know for sure, because I have, like, university professors in my family. The way that they teach, the way that they do is that they usually look and see what other grades you got before that exam. Even though they shouldn't do it, they fucking do it. So, like, if they see that you only got, like, good grades, and you know, you came to their exam and you don't know, like, they will still, like, try to give you another chance. They will... They treat people differently. Like, if you're looking like a streamer on Twitch, and you got big boobies, and you have 18 charisma, right? But you got, like, a lot of bad grades, like, you're full with C's, like C on everything. The teacher is going to just go like, oh, well, she's not really that interested in the university anyway. And it's just going to give you, like, a average grade. But if you got, like, only A's and A pluses, they're going to be like, okay, so this guy maybe wants a scholarship or something. And they're going to, like, try to see, all right, well, maybe he got, like, he took a wrong question. Like, the way we went at the university about it is that we had a lot of, like, you go to the exam and the teacher has, like, a lot of notes on the desk and you pick one and there's a question on that note regarding the subject and you have to answer it. So they will be like, okay, well, maybe he wasn't lucky when he drew the question, and they allow you to draw another one. Ioana says that is so true. I know it's true, because it's fucking like, you know, like, you're not supposed to do it, but it's part of how it's like to be human. Like, every human being does this, right? So the concept that grades don't matter is ridiculous. They absolutely do. They absolutely do. Some grades matter more than others. 18 charisma, don't you mean mind control? In general, it's after my grandma died, I was stuck with my mom. It was like going from Trump to Biden. I got to make sure I don't fail in life. Well, American Outlier, you know, like, you don't really have to give donations all the time. You can just post there and I'm going to read it. I feel bad, like, you gave me $150. Holy shit. A lot of people that ended up well in life did so because they had bad parents, ironically. For example, I was listening to Turd Flinging Monkey. He's got a podcast, and he was basically saying how his mom was taking food from the trash in order to give it to him. And it's like, there's a lot of examples where people who had bad parents ended up actually making good lives for themselves. Yeah, regarding the 18 charisma, Sargon figured out what I was trying to accomplish. I don't know if he is scared or not, but I want to make the first medieval VTuber chat. Like, think about it. You play sorceress in Dungeons & Dragons. It's a medieval society. And you have illusion magic. You can project images on a wall. You can project a version of Gargura on a wall, chat. You got 18 charisma. You can rent a tavern. You project that image on a wall. It even has smell and sound. And you can entertain people with song and dance. Family friendly, no drinks allowed. And then you can gather the donations. And you get fame and money. I'm curious what Sargon is going to say. You can literally use your magic to project an ad on a huge wall. Like you find a massive wall, like a castle or something, and you can project like a version of Shy Lily in the Dungeons and Dragons. And you're basically saying, it's like, come to this tavern, 6 p.m., family friendly. There will be no drinks, but lots of food. I can make a pig bunny, that's fine. Charisma is much more important than knowledge. I listened to my parents and studied like crazy in high school. Yes, unironically, charisma is far more important than intelligence. It's far more important than knowledge. When it comes to like going ahead through society, if you're a very charismatic person, like if you know how to shake hands and to be liked by others, it's a lot better than like being incredibly intelligent but low charisma. I mean, you need charisma to get past the job interview. You need charisma to date. You can't be like the most intelligent person in the room. It doesn't fucking matter. If you don't know how to make friends, if you don't know how to be liked by other people, it's not going to be very advantageous. You can succeed a role. That doesn't mean the GM would turn it against you. It is what it is, you know, like, I can only play the game as the rules allow me, but what the GM does, it's his business. However, I want to be a VTuber. I'm going to be a pink bunny. I will turn the dragon into a simp. There's hyper-intelligence, low charisma. And you just own the world? I don't think that's how it works. Like, usually if you're a very intelligent person, like you're incredibly intelligent, what I noticed that it happens is like someone with high charisma can befriend you, and then it's kind of like, he's not as intelligent as you, but because he has charisma, he's the one opening doors for you. And then you both profit. I wish you could check people's stats like in video games. Charisma may become irrelevant. I don't, no, because like if you check someone's stats and you see he's got a strength of 9. No, sorry, he's got a strength of 20. That's like, okay, now you know, but so what? It still has that strength of 20 and can beat you up. Like, it doesn't really matter. Vida VTuber didn't see it coming. I was asked this, like, why would you do that? And I was like, well, let's see. Why would my character want fame, money, and power? Intelligence means nothing without the ability to connect with other people. Man, like, I saw... When I was at hospital, like, there was this nurse. My fucking god, like, she was abysmal. She literally didn't know, like, the very basic stuff. And she was a nurse for years. But she was incredibly charismatic. Like, she had the bedside manner. And a lot of the patients liked her. And the colleagues liked her. But her IQ was Jesus. Like, she actually... She went to one of those tests at the psychologist to take an IQ. Shocking. I mean, it wasn't shocking for me because I spoke with her and I knew what she was capable of, but the psychologist was shocked. And I was like, well, I mean, she's charismatic. AC90, thank you for the 50 pounds. I live in Britain. Have been to Romania several times. Have friends in Cluj and another leftist city. Been around the salt mines and lakes. Went volunteering at camps in the middle of Transylvania. Gypsies are a good laugh. Long time viewer. Thank you. I thank you as well, AC. Yeah, I used to hang around with... apparently... I don't even know like if it's okay to call them gypsies or not. It's really interesting, right? Because they tried the political correctness angle in Romania. And I grew up into a very diverse neighborhood. There were a lot of people from the Roma ethnicity, they want you to call them. But the thing is, like, you notice the huge disconnect between the academics and the actual Roma themselves. Because when I went, you know, like, okay, so I shouldn't call them gypsies because that's what the TV tells me. And I go and I start talking to them with Roma, and they're like, if you don't cut that shit out, we're going to kick your ass. It's like, don't call us Roma, we're gypsies. And it's like, okay, whatever. But it just goes to show that this is how the culture is like. Like, they try political correctness, but like it's kind of like the Latinx thing, you know? Like, people that are Latin, they don't want to be called Latinx. So like you get politicians and journalists and academics trying to push for people to use Latinx. But in reality, if you actually use that word, you get in trouble. Like, I know people that are Mexican, and if you call them Latinx, they throw hands. Like, they know. Tell them how Nicolae Ceausescu tried to save your country, but you guys were totally ungrateful. Oh my fucking god. Yeah, so like, we had a dictator that had like the worst austerity measures imaginable. Like, literally, you would freeze to death during the winter. We got central bank digital currency before everyone else. Like, literally, you weren't able to buy whatever you wanted whenever you wanted. There were rationing everywhere. I think like Ceausescu had like the most environmentalist friendly policy in the entire Europe up until now, right? So people forced to work. Like, you weren't able to just choose not to have a job. Like, that thing didn't exist. If the cops caught you during working hours, they would beat you up and then send you to work by force. But he did pay Romania's external debt. I don't even know what the fuck that means. The reality is most people don't know what it means either. It's like when you go to the IMF and, okay, you don't have any debt. Alright. But the living standard that I have now, when Romania has debt, is far better than it was under Ceausescu. And not to mention, like, if people say it was so fucking amazing, the question is, like, why was it that you wouldn't be able to leave the country? Like, why were the borders closed? But yeah, no, like, yes, he tried to save my country. Yeah, absolutely. I don't really know from what, though. I mean, he was like an AOC on steroids. Like, unironically, maybe many of the policies that Ceausescu had are the same policies that Democrats want to impose. But for some reason, yes, Ceausescu, really good. He screwed Bucharest for real. He screwed many places. Like, he actually forced people that were living in the countryside, they forced them to move and live in the cities, even though they didn't want to. Anyway, right, I need to go on the Archcast. I think it's in 2 hours. I'm pretty sure that now it's going to happen. There were, Arch was on vacation last time, so that's why it didn't take place. But today it does. So I'll see you on the Archcast in 2 hours. Thank you so much for the donations, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.